Hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive on tomorrow night and beyond. Young America, hold your head high now. We can win. You must never stop dreaming. Face reality, yes, but don't stop with the way things are. Dream of things as they ought to be. Dream. Face pain. But love, hope, faith, and dreams will help you rise above the pain. Use hope and imagination as weapons of survival and progress. But you keep on dreaming, young America. Dream of peace. Peace is rational and reasonable. War is irrational in this age and unwinnable. Dream of teachers who teach for life and not for living. Dream of doctors who are concerned more about public health than private wealth. Dream of lawyers more concerned about justice and the judgeship. Dream of preachers who are concerned more about prophecy than profiteering. Dream on the high road with sound values. You must never surrender to inequality. Women cannot compromise ERA or comparable word. Women are making 60 cents on the dollar to what a man makes. Women cannot buy meat cheaper. Women cannot buy bread cheaper. Women cannot buy milk cheaper. Women deserve to get paid for the work that you do. It's right and it's fair. I'm often asked, Jesse, why do you take on these tough issues? They're not very political. We can't win that way. If an issue is morally right, it will eventually be political. It may be political and never be right. Fannie Lou Hamer didn't have the most votes in Atlantic City, but her principles have outlasted every delegate who voted to lock her out. Rosa Parks did not have the most votes, but she was morally right. Dr. King didn't have the most votes about the Vietnam War, but he was morally right. If we're principle first, our politics will fall into place. When you see Jesse Jackson, when my name goes in nomination, your name goes in nomination. I was born in the slum, but the slum was not born in me. And it wasn't born in you, and you can make it. Wherever you are tonight, you can make it. Hold your head high. Stick your chest out. You can make it. It gets dark sometimes, but the morning comes. Don't you surrender. Suffering breeds character. Character breeds faith. In the end, faith will not disappoint. You must not surrender. You may or may not get there, but just know that you are qualified. And you hold on and hold out. We must never surrender. America will get better and better. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. In the city we pay our taxes, but we're not represented. Taxation without representation is tyranny. We are tired of tyranny. We are tired of tyranny. We are somebody. Respect us.
The Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Nation. Sometimes it's voter registrars being arbitrary. Other times it's the Justice Department itself not being dutiful. The result is, even though 1/3 of all eligible voters in this state are black, 302,000 are registered, 292,000 or 48% are unregistered. The result is, there's no black congressman from South Carolina. We're 1/3, we should have at least 2. There's no black in the state senate in South Carolina. There's no black in the municipal government in Columbia, South Carolina. So we must take a hard look at political empowerment in this state. Our goal is to register 100,000 additional black voters in this state this year. We know it will have a tremendous impact upon the politics of the state and upon the plight and destiny of poor people. The flip side of our agenda, besides naming the 10 counties that we will focus in this state, we will name the coordinators, the ministers, the elected officials, and others who will be a part of this team that will be trained during this convention is the economic side. We trade with corporate America. Corporate America does not trade with us. By and large, these corporations have been the real reason why our nation is in such economic trouble. Mayors didn't pull out of major cities, corporations did. Mayors did not replace people with machines, corporations did. Mayors and governors did not go abroad to get slave labor or slave voters. Corporations went abroad to get slave labor market, to undercut the American labor market. And so we must look at corporations in a very new and different kind of way. We're going to name 10 corporations in this state that get more than their margin of profit from black consumers and black workers. And we're going to visit them with a combination of lawyers and ministers and researchers.
You folks have no idea what...
We expect to demand of them a trade agreement. If they will trade with us, retain black lawyers, retain black CPAs, use our advertising agencies, use our models, use our banks, give our children our share of scholarships. If they will trade with us, we will trade with them. We want to be their trading partners. But if they will not trade with us, we will not trade with them and thus become civil warriors. And thus the real focus of this convention, the July 13th through the 17th, will be political empowerment and economic development.
Let me get back to my initial question. What would you say are some of the major accomplishments of Operation Push?
One would have to say that Push's role in getting the Voting Rights Act extended has been a major political contribution. Or one could talk about the time that we unseated the Daley delegation in Miami, Florida in 1972, a number of other elections we've been involved in. But our voting rights have been severely threatened by the Reagan administration and by Strom Thurmond's behavior, conduct, and attitude toward the extension of the Voting Rights Act. Tomorrow, I'll be in Washington, D.C. at the White House, where President Reagan will sign into law for the next 25 years the extension of the Voting Rights Act, with Section 2 and Section 5, the enforcement provisions built into that piece of legislation. So extending the Voting Rights Act, in which we played a major part along with SCLC, NAA, and other organizations, has been a major contribution. The other part, of course, is economically. Last year, we determined to go after the private economy in a very different kind of way. If Reagan cuts public aid and corporations deny private trade, we have nothing left but Kool-Aid with cyanide in it, or a formula for death. We said to Coca-Cola, we're more than 25% of your company. We provide that margin of your business. And so we won't trade with you. At that point, Coca-Cola had 550 bottlers, zero black. They had 4,000 fountain wholesalers, zero black. They had a $160 million advertising budget, less than $500,000 black. We simply want our share. We have the money to invest. We have the skill. We're willing to work hard. We simply want a fair return on our investment. They finally did not see our way, and they decided not to sign a trade agreement. We withdrew from them for 3 weeks. We renegotiated the contract. The result is there are now 20 black fountain wholesalers of that company. Now black banks are getting letters of credit. Now for the first time there's a black senior vice president. Now former Ambassador Donald McHenry is on the board. The follow-up to that has been a $360 million 5-year trade agreement with the Hublin Corporation. For the first time, blacks will own 114 Kentucky Fried franchises. For the first time, blacks will have $75 million in business, in procurement contracts with that company. Again, we have the money, we have the skill and the will. We simply must break up restraint of trade. So I would say that the Hublin and Coca-Cola agreements, now we're about to sign a deal fairly soon with 7-Up or with Budweiser. We're focusing now on the auto industry as well as the beverage industry. So again, political empowerment and economic development, apart from just surviving as an organization, have been real hallmarks for Operation Push.
Okay, this is for the people, and we're talking...
Sharecroppers out from Alabama.
We'll have to talk to Ebony about that. Okay, we'll take that. What does the American business community think about your approach?
Well, at first, they have grown so accustomed to one-way trade and monopoly trade, they are offended when we ask of them reciprocal trade or two-way trade. They expect reciprocal trade when they deal with Japan, or any other nation because they want balance of trade. Indeed, they want trade surplus. Many of them have grown so accustomed to exploiting blacks that they have no real appreciation of the significance of opening up trade options for black America. The fact of the matter is, once they engage in the trade agreement, they find it to be mutually beneficial. If white America holds black America in the ditch, we can't grow and white America can't grow. It's only when they get off of our back can they express themselves and grow, and we can grow. Suppose white America had disallowed Jesse Owens from participating in the 1936 Olympics. America could not have won. So to hold Jesse Owens down would have been to hold the nation down. Or Max Schmeling and Joe Louis. If Joe Louis had not been able to fight, the Germans would have had the world champion. So to hold us down would have been to hold the nation down. Or to disallow Marian Anderson from performing in the arts would be to limit America's art.
Or did we not rise in spite of the holding back?
Well, indeed we did. We had to be superior to be equal. But the point is that these various forms of restraint of trade held the nation back. There is a divine law of reciprocity. You really cannot help somebody without helping yourself. You really cannot hurt somebody without hurting yourself. That which goes around indeed does come around. So in 1947, when Jackie Robinson was able to play baseball, for him it meant a chance to grow. But for the baseball league, it meant a chance to expand. You could not have the expanded major leagues without black players participating. The same as in football, basketball, and baseball. Politically, Jimmy Carter could not have gotten to the White House if he had been the governor of a state where blacks could not vote. So by holding us back, it would have held him back. Well, now, corporate America, black America, has more money than all the nations in the world except 9. Black Americans pay $30 million a month in union dues. Black Americans spend $145 billion a year with corporate America. Black Americans buy more from corporate America than Russia and China and Japan combined. So in a real sense, to ignore black wealth, to ignore black trade, to ignore black skill is a luxury that America can ill afford. I suggest to you that in part we're in trouble in the economic order because of unused black talent, black money, and black ideas, thus a decline in productivity. It would be like you not allowing 12% of your body to function because you didn't like it, because you didn't understand it. So in a real sense, America operates against American interests by engaging in restraint of trade and development against black Americans.
Let us pause a minute to invite the viewing audience in South Carolina to call and ask questions or make comments. If you're in Columbia, the national's people who say that this is blackmail.
Well, they must first define blackmail or illicit solicitation. And that is that if I want to take something from a business person because I have something over his head that may embarrass him and therefore force him to give me money to keep from divulging something about the person that's embarrassing, that's called blackmail, which is wrongly put, or it's called illicit solicitation. Well, that's not what we're doing. We are very public. We are seeking reciprocal trade. We say to the corporation, if you want us to trade with you, you trade with us. That's fair. If you don't want us to trade with you, then don't trade with us, or vice versa. So we're talking about a mutually beneficial economic arrangement. And those who simply have such venom and such hatred and such blindness until they will deny us trade and expect us not to expect trade, they are really expecting too much.
Okay, all lines are lit. Let's take a call. For the people, you're on the air.
Yes, I'd like to ask Reverend Jackson, what ingredient does he think the black people in this country need to be totally successful as far as economically and family-wise and totally? What is the main ingredient? Is destruction of the family unit within the black communities? Is that something that has a major effect on the continuing success or trying to be successful?
Okay, thank you.
I think there are really 4 angles. One angle, of course, is the is the historical angle. That is that black Americans came to this country not as immigrants or refugees. We came as slaves. And that is definitely a different track for those who came on slave ships and those who came on immigrant ships. Not only did we come in ways that were against our interests and against our will, but since we've been here, blacks are in a color caste. If you looked at it right now and saw 40, 50 white people, some may be Lithuanian, some may be German, or Irish, or Italian, or Jewish, but they are fungible. You really cannot distinguish them by color. The blacks are set aside by color. Thus, our caste is more dominant than our class, so that no matter what our intelligence may be, or our character may be, or our wealth may be, or our education may be, all blacks got the right of public accommodations on the same day because of our caste. All blacks got the right to play baseball on the same day. All blacks got the right to vote on the same day. And so our caste distinctions, along with our class distinctions, put a double yoke upon black people. And that makes us fundamentally different in our pilgrimage than other people. Sure, whites can talk about going from log cabin to the White House, or Jimmy Carter from peanut planter to the presidency. But somehow blacks with superior minds and character just cannot take that same route. So we must appreciate that we literally have to be superior to be equal. We're always facing a headwind of adversity. It's difficult to make it that way, but once you do, you're stronger and you're the better for it. On the other hand, there must be some sense of a spiritual foundation. That is, some sense of God-centeredness in one's life. That is to say that once you really know God, everything else is little. After all, God made man, he made sun, moon, and stars. And thus to know God and to feel that one is in God's care, one can conquer all things. No mountain too high, no valley too low. It is with that sense of spiritual security, therefore, that one can say that no grave can hold my body down, or no jail cell can contain me, or no denial is too great. Every crucifixion can potentially become a resurrection. And that is that spiritual that allows one to go through the valleys and shadows of death and fear no evil. That is in great contrast, I might add, to pipping one's brain in liquor, or putting dope in your veins rather than hope in your brains, or robbing and raping your neighbor, or engaging in some form of self-destruction, whether it is suicide or homicide, as the case may be. Then there's the economic question. That is to say that we are down economically, basically because of one-way trade. 2,200 soft drink franchises, 0 black. We trade with soft drink franchises, they don't trade with us. Last year, Chrysler had $7.5 billion in sales, $3 billion in procurement or trade, less than $20 million with blacks. That kind of trade record has economically bankrupted black America. The political side, of course, as I said earlier, is to fight for the extension of the right to vote and for the enforcement provisions to be enacted. And I would hope that you who are listening in television and looking in television land today would in fact do your best. We have an obligation to use our vote and our dollar scientifically.
If you eat butter daily, this is what happens.
The call. For the people,
Yeah, and I'm on it.
So you were on the island?
I was apparently, I don't know. They said I was on the island. They said, I'm like, I don't go anywhere.
The story was about a bus.
Yeah, maybe, but it's like, so I'm just going to say, and there's been a lot of stuff recently. I don't know what I've done to anybody, but apparently there are a lot of these kind of sites that are, what do you call them? They're
Parody or
they're satire sites.
Oh.
But people don't realize that they can be harmful.
That clip of Whoopi Goldberg on The View with her little hag friends is from, I do believe was posted on January 6, 2024. This was posted over a year ago on X, and it says here, Whoopi Goldberg wants everyone to know that she definitely never went to Epstein's Island, okay? She wants to get ahead of it and make sure everyone knows there's a fake list going around. The panic in Pedowood is ridiculous. Keep the pressure on. That was January 6, 2024. And now I would like to also play you exactly what is going on right now, and I want to show this to you first. This is Whoopi Goldberg. This is an email in the Epstein files that says, Whoopi Goldberg needs a plane to get to Monaco, and it says John Lennon's charity is paying for it. They don't want to charter, so they are looking for private owners. And this is to Jeffrey Epstein and others. And it says there's a bunch of info. It's the White Feather Charity Ball plane, and it's Julian Lennon's charity and some other stuff. Either way, this is Whoopi Goldberg's name in the newly released by Attorney General Pam Bondi Epstein files. And so after all the sugar honey iced tea that Whoopi Goldberg herself has talked on The View and the other women have talked on The View, it's very interesting that now these co-hosts of The View, these hags, have been named over 46 times in the newly released, proven to be accurate and real Epstein files, not satirical, not fake, not altered, not any of this other stuff that Whoopi tried to say a little over a year ago. The actual Epstein files that have been released by the government has her name in it 21 times. You have Alyssa Farah Griffin in it 20 times, Joy Behar in it 3 times, and then Anna Navarro in it at least 2 times. Which, you know, all of them up until the release of this pretended that Donald Trump's name in there meant he was immediately guilty of all kinds of disgusting wrongdoing. But now that their names are in it, they're singing a different tune. And I want you to hear exactly what has happened now that The View decided to kind of acknowledge the fact that Whoopi is in the Epstein files so very often. And I want you guys to listen to it because it's worth listening to. And then also worth noting that I'm guessing Whoopi is either on GLP-1s or Ozempic because she no longer wears all the stuff to cover up her neck and everything else, and she's looking a lot leaner. But anyway, listen to what Whoopi had to say about her being in the Epstein files.
Now, in the name of transparency.
Now we care about transparency. Okay.
My name is in the files.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And what does it say? It says, Whoopi needs a plane to get to Monaco. John Lennon's charity, it should say Julian Lennon's charity, is paying for it. They don't want to charter, so they're looking for private owners. Here's the info. And they get.
But why would you not want to charter a plane that would then, you know, have a record of who's on the plane and where it's leaving from and where it's going? Why would you want a private plane that doesn't have to have the same level of scrutiny on the log of passengers to go to Monaco? What were you actually doing in Monaco? It's a question worth asking, but anyway, let's continue on.
All the information. And they're saying, do you want to offer your G2? Okay.
And it looks like they said no thanks.
Yeah.
So in other words, anybody can be on this list.
Well,
you hear that? So in other words, anybody can be on it. It's not even like it matters. They just put anybody's name on there. But remember, all the way leading up until this, Joy Behar herself was the biggest hag of them all, who was dragging President Donald Trump every which way humanly possible because of his ties with Epstein and everything else. But now we're going to backpedal the sugar honey iced tea out of it and try to pretend like, oh, it's not a big deal. Your name's on there. Who cares? It's not like it really means anything.
This is my point, because I'm telling you, when I tell you people are trying to turn me into, I wasn't his girlfriend. I wasn't his friend.
You were too old, friend.
I was not only too old, but it was at a time, you know, where this is just not. What? You used to have facts before you said stuff.
But Trump.
You understand the irony here. You used to have facts before you said stuff, knowing good and damn well that these women on The View never have facts about anything before they decide to just pounce on somebody, right? Whoopi being the worst of them all, constantly just talking out her ass, saying absolutely nothing and blatantly lying so very many times that it became comical, especially during the election process. And when they brought Kamala Harris on and had a discussion with her, when they had Mamdani on and talked to him, all they do is lie and try to make things look better than they actually are for whatever Democrats' ass they're kissing for the day. But now that Whoopi's the one in the hot seat, obviously it's not real, it's not that big a deal, it's not like, you know, they don't even have facts, they're just saying things. Oh, honey, you don't like it when the shoe's on the other foot now, do you? Listen.
Was on the list 38,000 times.
Well, I can't speak to him, but I'm speaking about me because I'm.
Oh, now she realizes she can't speak about the president. Now she doesn't want to say Donald Trump's name because now she knows how incredibly stupid she sounded the entire time she dragged him because his name appeared in an Epstein file. And now she has to either say that if your name appeared in it, obviously you did something. If she wants to, pretend that President Trump has done something wrong, which then makes it seem and known that she has done something wrong, or now she has to backtrack all the way back to the frickin' 80s and pretend like that her name being on there means absolutely nothing, right? But if that's the case, then President Trump's name being on there has to also mean absolutely nothing. So she's in a very difficult place here, that rock and a hard place, that whole whatever, stuck right in the middle of it. And I hope she gets squished. But anyway.
Getting dragged. People actually believe that I was with him. It's like, honey, come on. Every man that I've ever been with, you
all two of them, Ted Danson and somebody else. We all know that she's pitching for the other team or catching for the other team because she. Anyway, not the point. I just think it's absolutely hilarious that you can tell that she is terrified. You can tell that she is running scared. You can tell that she is full of crap, and you can tell that she is running in circles, chasing her tail, trying to figure out how to make this seem less than what it is, right? And maybe it is nothing. I don't know. I'm not in the Epstein files. I don't know any of these people. I have nothing to do with any of this. Maybe it is nothing. Maybe she really did need a plane that couldn't be traced and didn't have logs on it. Still trying to figure out why you would need something like that. But it gets even better because I just want to give you a little before and after of how they really felt before the files were released and now that after the files have been released. So let's just really quick look at a little bit of the before action.
Bottom line is this: release the damn files and release them now.
Right, Anna? Yeah.
If this does not implicate Donald Trump, why wouldn't you say release everything? They absolutely have to show us what they're all hiding. If there's nothing to hide, release it all.
But all of that information is out there. Why not just put it to rest and say, release the list? Because, they should just say, listen, this is what it is. Do you want to offer your G2?
And now
it looks like they said, thanks.
No.
Yeah, in other words, anybody can be up.
So now that the files have been released, it is a backtrack and it's going to continue on, and you're going to see Whoopi. It's not going to go very well for her. It's going to continue to get worse because that's one time her name is in there. Her name was in there, what did we say, 42 times? So that's 42 for all of them. Either way, her name is in there enough times that it's more than just one email. So it's going to be very interesting to see exactly what else comes out. Now, she could pretend that she has no clue what happened those other times. Maybe she did go to the island. Maybe she was on Lolita Express numerous times, but she doesn't remember it because according to TMZ, I want you to see this picture of good old Jeffrey Epstein, the piece of junk shit that he is. According to TMZ, Jeffrey Epstein may have had a collection of highly poisonous plants known to produce a drug that blocks free will in its victims, according to newly discovered emails in the last document dump of the Epstein files. Now, let me just go ahead and tell you, I find that real interesting timing. I find that real convenient that now people will be able to say that it blocked them of their free will. So Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, the ones who are about to have to go and testify in court because they bypassed their subpoena, they ignored it, and so now they've been held in contempt and they must come in and speak. They could easily go, well, I think we were drugged and we didn't have free will when we were doing the things that we were doing. This is, to me, this whole thing about the drug that blocks the free will in its victims, that is aimed at making it so that these names on the list can then portray themselves as victims. And I don't like this. Because I don't trust the people, right? I don't trust that they're not going to use this to kind of try to clear their names and keep them out of trouble and continue to sweep things under the rug, right? So just remember that one for the future. Now, this is an email or a post that came out on February 11th that I forgot to read to you guys. And I think it's very important that I give you this information, okay? Then we're going to get to good old Billy Clinton and his Satan of a wife, Hillary, in just a minute. But I want to read this to you first. It says yesterday, Democrat Jamie Raskin told the media Trump's name appears more than 1 million times in the Epstein files. Every late night host ran with it. Every headline screamed it. You guys may remember this. I mean, you had Jimmy Kimmel, you had all of them. You had Stephen Colbert, you had all of the left mainstream media and publications running with it, right? Then he quietly admitted that he searched the word Donald, not Donald Trump, just Donald. Every Donald in 3 million documents, every Donald Duck reference, every McDonald's receipt, 1 million hits, 0 evidence. And here's what Raskin didn't mention, okay? The same files contain an FBI interview with the Palm Beach police chief who confirmed that Trump called the police on Epstein in 2006. We talked about this a day or two ago. Trump told him, "Thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this." He called Maxwell evil and said, "Focus on her." He saw teenagers at Epstein's and got the hell out of there. He was one of the first to call about what Jeffrey Epstein was doing. While Democrats searched for his name to build a headline, the files proved he tried to stop it, which is why right now Whoopi's like, well, I can't speak on Donald Trump, because she knows that she has no firepower with him, and that every single time she mentions his name and tries to connect him to Jeffrey Epstein, she is just basically, I mean, flat out lying about what did not happen, right? Like, plain and simple, knowing good and damn well that her name is on the list and she knows exactly what she has or has not done, which is why over a year ago she was trying to go ahead and put it out there that, oh, her name is showing up in these things, but it's because it's fake and it's satirical and it's parody and it's not real. Okay. And then it says here, while Raskin ran his mouth, every single Democrat in Wyoming voted against a bill imposing harsher penalties for sexual crimes against children. Every single one of them. If you're in Wyoming, you should really be pissed right now, 100% pissed off that this is what's happening in your state. They searched 3 million files to frame the man who reported Epstein, then voted to protect child groomers. Way to go, Wyoming. Doing good things over there, I see. Now, on top of that, there is, my daughter's in high school, and she's gotten a yearbook every single year that she's been in school. Elementary school, middle school, high school has gotten a yearbook, and there's always a company that comes in and takes the pictures of all the kids. Schools all over the U.S. are canceling Picture Day due to Leon Black, the co-founder of the parent company that owns LifeTouch. I'm sure if you're a parent, you know exactly what LifeTouch is. They have been listed in the Epstein files. LifeTouch is the biggest school picture company in America and photographs millions of kids every year. Let that sink in. You have a company listed in the Epstein files whose main purpose of that company is to go to schools and photograph children. We don't know how many photographs they take of each child. We don't know what they do with those photographs of each child. We're thinking they're just going to print out the school pictures, they're going to put it in a yearbook, whatever else. They could easily be selling it to, I don't know, Comet Ping Pong Pizza. They could easily be selling it to Ghislaine Maxwell, to Jeffrey Epstein, to any of these other people who we know are in this Epstein list who have done horrific things to children. So just keep that in mind, y'all. Now, this is what I wanted to share with you also before we get to good old Bill Clinton and Hillary, because y'all, there's some good stuff there. In the last 24 hours, okay, listen, last 24 hours, Leslie Wexner, that's the billionaire founder of Victoria's Secret, has been subpoenaed. He will be deposed by the House Oversight Committee. He gave Epstein power of attorney over his entire $5 billion fortune. He built Epstein's $77 million Manhattan mansion, which we talked about, for free. And for decades, nobody touched him. Now he's being dragged in under oath, okay? That's one. Thomas Pritzker, which happens to be J.B. Pritzker's cousin, I do believe, you know, the governor of Illinois and one of the names in the Hyatt hotels. Well, Thomas Pritzker, who is the executive chairman of Hyatt Hotels, stepped down. You know why? Because he's in the Epstein files. The Pritzker family is worth $33 billion. And you guys know exactly who J.B. Pritzker is. He's the one who looks like the Penguin from the original Batman with Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton. He looks just like him, but without like the face makeup, but everything else pretty much accurate. Just put one of those little black top hats on him and you've got dead ringer there. They are one of the most powerful dynasties in America. Gone. In one day, no warning, Thomas Pritzker steps down, okay? Then you have Casey Wasserman, who is the chairman of the 2028 LA Olympics. Now, before I read you the rest of this, remember, the 2028 LA Olympics happen to be taking place right where the Palisades fire took place. Then they have to build up all these new places for the athletes to stay and the people who were visiting to stay. And in that area, it was more residential than anything. And Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, the mayor of LA, they didn't really have anywhere to put people that were coming in. Well, now that the fires have gone through and they've gone through and bought up land and they're not letting people rebuild, and now they have all these new plans to build low-income housing and condos and apartments and whatnot right in time for it to be finished in theory before the Olympics start, and they can bring in all the money from all of the people who want to visit LA to watch the Olympics. Just very interesting time. And Casey Wasserman, the chair of the 2028 LA Olympics, the mayor of Los Angeles publicly demanded his resignation, which is interesting that Karen Bass would demand anybody's resignation, knowing good and damn well that she is absolute trash, had no reason to be voted in as the mayor of LA, had no qualifications whatsoever, has turned LA into a bigger shithole than anybody thought humanly possible under her watch, with the help of Gavin Newsom, obviously. But the man chosen to represent America on the world stage is an Epstein associate. So that doesn't look good for LA, obviously. Obviously, Karen Bass's name isn't in the Epstein files. Gavin Newsom might be. I don't think he is, because nobody's screaming that from the mountaintops. I feel like if he was in there, that would be one of the first things that people were talking about. And maybe I missed it. It's highly possible. But either way, next you have the UK police now investigating private flight records at Stansted Airport after the files revealed Epstein flew in and out of Britain dozens of times. So you have former Prime Minister Gordon Brown flagged it, and then Scotland Yard is now moving on it. In over 180,000 images. Okay, the New York Times confirmed today the Epstein file contains an estimated 180,000 photographs, not documents, not emails, photographs. And that's not even in conjunction with the videos that they have, right? You have to ask, what are the photos of? What are they of? Who are they of? What rooms? What island? They haven't told us that yet. But of course, the DOJ has them all. Pam Bondi, Department of Justice. Bondi said, there is more coming out. But you have to ask yourself, why are billionaires resigning before the photos drop? Why is Thomas Pritzker resigning before any proof of what he has done has come out? Why is Whoopi Goldberg on The View basically trying to undig her own grave before really anything has come out except for an email with her name on it? Because they all know that there's going to be photograph evidence, there's going to be video evidence, there's going to be audio evidence, there's going to be text message evidence, because Jeffrey Epstein, the sick person that he is, according to some people, he's roaming around in, they say Costa Rica or Italy, somewhere. They said somewhere. He also clearly was able to mastermind everything that was going on, and he's going to keep every piece of paper trail, audio trail, visual trail humanly possible, because blackmail goes a very long way with people, right? So you've got that. So here's what we've got so far, okay? 20 plus resignations, and we're only at day 18 since these files have been dropped, right? There are 8 countries investigating the people that have been named. You have had 4 criminal raids so far, 12 subpoenas issued, or 12 plus subpoenas issued. You have the UN declaration UN has declared crimes against humanity against people. Obama had 8 years to do this. 0, nothing came out. They hushed it up, didn't do anything. Biden had 4 years. 0, nothing. He didn't do anything in any of that time. Trump needed 18 days, and all of this has happened in the 18 days that these files have been released, right? And every single day, we're going to see more and more stuff coming out. And I find it very interesting that right now, Hillary Clinton is a huge name again, because of every dumbass thing that came out of her mouth in Munich at the Munich Security Council. I can never remember the name of it, but she spoke there. Oh, here. There's Thomas Pritzker and JB Pritzker, just so you know. Obviously, JB is the one who looks like the penguin. You've figured that out for yourself. But either way, Hillary Clinton has been big in the news lately because of everything that she said and the way that she responded to the question about her husband being in the Epstein files. And this is something that I want you guys to listen to. And this was an interview on BBC, and I've got a little bit more that goes with it. But when people are talking to you, generally speaking, they are making eye contact as much as humanly possible, right? And you're taught when you're kind of younger that if you want people to believe you, you need to make that eye contact, because that exudes the truthfulness that you're bringing, right? And I remember seeing somewhere that if you look left or you look right, I don't remember which one it is, that they said that you're lying. I can never remember which way they say. Now, Hillary has a tendency when she says certain things to break eye contact with the reporter. And I just think it's very interesting, and I think that that's something that we should always pay attention to when she speaks, when Kamala Harris speaks, when Bill Clinton speaks, when AOC speaks, now when Whoopi Goldberg speaks. Basically, any Democrat, when they talk, just watch when they break eye contact with who they're responding to, right? So let's take a listen here to good old Hillary Clinton.
What was your reaction when you saw some of the material that has been released? I'm thinking, for example, of images of your husband apparently in a hot tub in a swimming pool on Epstein's plane. What was your reaction to that? And do you know the context surrounding some of those images?
Absolutely. And it wasn't a hot tub on a plane. It was one of the stops they made to look at philanthropic and charitable work that my husband has done, saving literally millions of lives around the world. It turned out that was done long before there was any public awareness and certainly any conviction of any crime by Jeffrey Epstein. So it was a short period of time that was in pursuit of charitable philanthropic work. A lot of people were traveling at the same time. Many staff members, guests, other supporters of the foundation.
Yeah.
If Bill and I had a penny for every person we've taken pictures with, we would be extremely rich today.
I'm sure you would. But I would like to remind everybody exactly what picture she's talking about. Also, I like how Hillary played really stupid there and thought that the lady said a hot tub on an airplane. Listen, you don't have to be the brightest bulb in the bunch. I don't really know where you're supposed to go with that lamp store or whatever. But clearly she meant all these things were separate, on a plane, in a hot tub, blah, blah, blah. But here's that picture, in case anybody was curious. There is some female over in a corner there. There's good old Billy Boy, and there's Ghislaine Maxwell right there in the pool all together. So just, Bill and his philanthropic activities right there. But what's even better is that you're going to have Hillary tell you that she's never met Jeffrey Epstein and she doesn't hang out with him and doesn't know anything about him and all this other stuff, which very interesting. Once again, take a listen.
You regret the links that there have been? We have no links. We have a very clear record that we've been willing to talk about. Which my husband has said he took some rides on the airplane for his charitable work. I don't recall ever meeting him.
Did you ever meet Ghislaine Maxwell?
I did on a few occasions, and thousands of people go to the Clinton Global Initiative. So it to me is not something that is really at the heart of what this matter is about. They are accused, and in both cases were convicted of horrific crimes against girls and women.
Well, now your husband and you are accused also, so keep that same fire for it, right, Hillary? All right, continue.
That should be the focus. We are more than happy to say what we know, which is very limited and totally unrelated to their behavior or their crimes. And we want to do it in public because let's make this transparent.
Listen, it's not let's make this transparent. It's let's make sure that we see each other's stories so we can stay on the same page. Because if they were to take good old Billy Boy in this room and good old Hillary into that room and question them simultaneously where they can't talk to each other or hear each other's answers, one of them is going to F up and they're both going to go to prison. Now, if they do it in this big wide open with cameras on them and everybody watching and everybody listening, she'll get to see what Billy Boy says on February 26th when he goes first, February 27th when she goes. I'm pretty sure I have those dates right. So she'll get to watch his testimony and then she'll get to go, okay, remember that, write it on your hand, write it on your forearm, have little notes everywhere, whatever. And then when it's her turn, she'll go, no, I did not have sexual relations with that, what insert blank, child, man, woman, I don't know, because it is Hillary Clinton, anything is possible. But that's what she's trying to do. It's not transparency, it's a safety net for her and Billy Boy because she knows that they are sick fudges. So anyway, so there's that, okay? I just wanted you guys to be aware of exactly, one, she's looking a little haggard right there. The little stress is getting her under the eyes. She should really put some of those like cucumber patches right there, really just suck those bags right up. Anyway, I saw this and I wanted to bring this to your attention because there's more texts and emails and things that will be released, and somebody posted this up and I haven't had a chance to dig into this yet, but I want to share it with you guys just as a maybe this is something. So when these text messages and more emails are coming out, it says keep an eye out for these words: Eagle, Evergreen, and Renegade, because there's a lot of code word, pizza, hot dog, things like that have been used in these files throughout the 3 billion plus pages that have been released, and in the way that they talk with each other. So I'm assuming that there's going to be, and they're also saying, of course, you need to release Anthony David Weiner's laptop, obviously. There's going to be a lot more information that's coming out. But this is a little mashup of why you cannot trust Hillary Clinton. In case you had forgotten or didn't already know, which you guys, I know you already know that she can't be trusted for anything. Because what did she say after the people were killed in Benghazi? What does it matter now? Something along those lines, because she's a heartless, soulless, see you next Tuesday. This is something else. This, like I said, a little mashup of things that Hillary has said that has also been completely proven that she is lying and that it's false. Okay, so let me just let you listen to this. And this is over time. It's a little mashup between her and things over time. Listen.
Everything I did was permitted by law and regulation.
About her emails.
I had one device.
Secretary Clinton used numerous mobile devices to send and to read email on that personal domain.
My use of personal email was allowed by the State Department.
None of these emails should have been on any kind of unclassified system.
I did not email any classified material to anyone on my email. There is no classified material.
There is evidence to support a conclusion that any reasonable person in Secretary Clinton's position, or in the position of those with whom she was corresponding about those matters, should have known that an unclassified system was no place for that conversation.
I never sent nor received any information that was classified at the time it was sent.
At the time, look at that. Look at that, trying to cover a butt.
Emails in 52 email chains have been determined by the owning agency to contain classified information at the time they were sent or received.
I never sent classified material on my email, and I never received any that was marked classified.
Oh, wait, yeah. Pathological liar is what it says here, but it's got copyrighted music, so I can't play that part, which is very, very true. She is not a truthful person. Anything that she says right now in regards to Epstein, in regards to her husband, in regards to her love of pizza, hot dogs, whatever it is, cannot be trusted, even while under oath, because we know that that biatch will lie through her teeth no matter what, because self-preservation is more important to her and good old Billy Boy than anything else. Now, I do have to think that maybe the reason she suddenly looks so very haggard is because lack of, what is it called, adrenochrome, probably having trouble getting there right about now with all eyes on her and Billy Boy. So she's going to start aging like some spoiled milk real quick. So these are things you guys have got to pay attention to, got to keep an eye on, because there will be more coming out, like I said, about her, about Billy Boy. And I just want to remind everybody, at Chelsea Clinton's wedding, after they were all found, whatever, after all the information came out that he was possibly, that Epstein was probably doing pedophiliac-y things, and Maxwell was, handing him over to him, Chelsea gets married, and there's Ghislaine Maxwell. This is not AI. This is a legit photo. This is 100% real. There's Ghislaine Maxwell at Chelsea Clinton's wedding. And I think it needs to be remembered and reminded. When the reporter asked Hillary, sorry, I have a toothpick here. When the reporter asked Hillary if she's met Ghislaine Maxwell, she said, yeah, at functions or work, corporates, whatever that she said. But she didn't go, yeah, she was at my daughter's wedding. Some reason she forgot to mention we are so close, we invited her to our daughter's wedding aspect of how well she knows or doesn't know Ghislaine Maxwell. So once again, she is a lying, see you next Tuesday, and it needs to be pointed out as often as humanly possible so that there is no doubt about what an awful human being that she is, okay? And I just wanted to bring all that to your attention.